Right now, you probably have a door you can close, a room that is yours, a moment in the day that belongs entirely to yourself. You don't think about this. You've never had to. But for the vast majority of human existence, privacy didn't exist, not even slightly. For hundreds of thousands of years, every single one of your ancestors lived in groups so small and so physically close that there was no such thing as being alone. No private thoughts, no argument the whole group didn't hear, no moment of grief or shame or desire that wasn't witnessed by everyone you'd ever known. So what did that actually do to them? And what does it mean that we now build entire houses around the concept of being left alone? The answer changes everything we think we know about shame, identity, and what the human mind was actually built for. Let's start with the numbers. For most of human prehistory, your entire world was between 25 and 50 people. Not your town, not your neighborhood. Every person who had ever known your name. Every face you had ever seen. All of them within earshot, essentially all the time. And they slept together, not romantically, literally. Bodies clustered around a central fire, close enough to share warmth, close enough that any movement in the night woke others. A study examining sleep in modern hunter-gatherer groups, the Hadza of Tanzania, the Sand of the Kalahari, found that the night was punctuated by conversation, movement, someone tending the fire. Sleep was not a private retreat. It was a communal event you happened to do, in the presence of everyone you loved and feared and depended on. There were no walls, there were no doors, there were no rooms. Think about what that means. Every fight you've ever had that you were glad happened behind closed doors. Every time you cried alone in your car. Every moment of embarrassment or grief you processed in private before deciding how to face the world. None of that was available. Whatever happened to you happened in front of everyone. Whatever you felt was written on a face that was never more than a few feet from another face that knew you completely. And yet they didn't experience this the way we imagine we would. Because privacy, the idea that there is an interior self separate from the social self, a version of you that nobody else gets to see, is not a universal human instinct. It is a cultural invention. A surprisingly recent one, anthropologist David Wessner, who spent years living with the Juwansi people of the Kalahari, documented something researchers initially found difficult to process. These communities had almost no concept of personal privacy in the way modern Westerners understand it. Not because they were undeveloped, because the entire psychological architecture of the self was structured differently. Your identity was not something you possessed privately and chose to share. Your identity was constituted by the group. Who you were was inseparable from what the group knew you to be. The private self, in the modern sense, had not yet been invented. But here's what's fascinating. They did develop something that functioned like privacy, just not the kind we recognize. Hunter-gatherer communities across the world developed what researchers now call social privacy. Invisible but deeply respected boundaries governing what could be acknowledged even when everything was visible. Among the Juhansi, if two people had a heated argument, the rest of the group would physically turn away, not leave. There was nowhere to go. But they would orient their bodies in another direction, begin another conversation, redirect their attention as a collective act. They created privacy socially, through the agreement not to witness, even when witnessing was physically unavoidable. This pattern appears in almost every hunter-gatherer community ever studied. Privacy was not created by walls. It was created by the agreement of other people to look somewhere else, and violating that agreement, forcing acknowledgement of something the group had collectively decided not to see, was one of the most serious social transgressions possible. More serious, in many communities, than theft. Because what you were stealing was not property. You were stealing someone's dignity within the only world they had. So what about shame? Because shame is the emotion that privacy is designed to manage. In a world with no doors, shame had to work differently. Psychologists distinguish between external shame cultures, where behavior is regulated by the fear of being seen, and internal shame cultures, where guilt functions even in private because you've absorbed the community's standards completely. Hunter-gatherer communities operated almost entirely on external shame. When there is no private space, what matters is what the group sees. What matters is what is acknowledged. And since the group held the extraordinary power of collective non-acknowledgement, the boundary between public and private was managed by social consensus, in real time every day. This is why gossip in these communities was not trivial. It was the enforcement mechanism of the entire system. When something happened that the group could no longer agree to ignore, gossip was how the community processed it, around the fire, in front of everyone. The offending behavior was named. The group responded. The person was reintegrated or excluded. There were no private tribunals, no anonymous complaints. The process was entirely public, because the entire community was the court. Anthropologist Christopher Boehm documented what he called the reverse dominance hierarchy. In most animal social structures, the strongest individual dominates the group. In human hunter-gatherer bands, the group dominated the individual. Not through laws or institutions, through collective attention. The group watched. The group talked. No single person could quietly accumulate power because there were no private spaces in which that power could be built. Transparency was not a policy. It was the structure of existence, and it kept these communities remarkably egalitarian for hundreds of thousands of years. Then agriculture arrived, roughly 12,000 years ago, and everything changed. Farming meant permanence. Permanence meant buildings. Buildings meant, for the first time in human history, the possibility of a room, a door, a wall between you and the world. The architecture of separation had begun, and once it began, it accelerated. By ancient Rome, privacy had become a luxury, marking social status. The wealthy had rooms. The poor shared everything. The Latin word privatus, from which we get the English word private, literally meant withdrawn from public life. The modern Western concept of privacy as a right, as something owed to the individual by society, is even newer. It barely existed before the 18th century. Set against 300,000 years of human existence, it is not even a chapter. It is a footnote, and we are already watching it dissolve. The average person is now monitored by more cameras in a single day than would have captured their entire lifetime a generation ago. Every search recorded, every purchase tracked, every movement logged. The walls we built to separate ourselves from collective attention are becoming, slowly and steadily, transparent again. We are, in some ways, returning to something that looks more like the prehistoric condition than the privacy-obsessed 20th century. Total visibility, collective observation, a world where there is no clean line between what is known and what is private. And here's the thing. Our ancestors were not destroyed by that condition. They were shaped by it. The communal fire, the enforced proximity, social agreements about where to look and what to acknowledge. These were not deprivations. They were technologies of a different kind. Technologies for building trust, enforcing fairness, creating communities cohesive enough to survive. What they didn't have was a self that existed independently of the group. What we have, with our rooms and our locked phones and our private thoughts, is something genuinely new in the human story. An interior life that belongs entirely to us. A self we construct privately and choose how to present. A version of ourselves that no one else will ever fully know. Your ancestors never had that. Not one of them, for the vast majority of human history. So the next time you close a door and stand alone in a room, in genuine silence, with no one watching, remember that you are doing something your species spent 300,000 years without. Something so new that the human brain is still figuring out what to do with it. Something that is either the greatest gift of civilization or its loneliest invention, depending on which moment you happen to be standing in.